Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. In this video, let us study the characteristic features of pteridophytes. As children, in our last video, we have studied the characteristic features of bryophytes and also we discussed some of the important questions on the bryophytes. So here we have one more plant group to study. So this plant group is called as pteridophytes. So pteridophytic plants are little advanced plants in their characteristic feature compared to the bryophytes. So we have seen that bryophytic plants are not well differentiated in the sense their plant body is not consist of true root, stem and leaves. But if you see the members of pteridophytes, their body is well differentiated. That means these plants are little advanced compared to the bryophytes. So you can see the diagram what I have displayed on the screen. So this is one of the common example of pteridophyte. I hope you have seen, most of you have seen this plant. So this is fern, best example of pteridophyte. So where do we find the members of pteridophytes? So pteridophytes found in cool, damp, shady places. So usually the pteridophytic plant prefer cool place and a moisture content and shady places for their growth. So that where the place is very cool and where we can find moisture content and shady environment, in that particular habitat we can find the members of pteridophytes. So these members, the pteridophytic members, are well differentiated in their plant body. So the main plant here is called as sporophytic plant. So we have already seen that bryophytes are called as the gametophytic plant. That means the main plant body in the bryophyte is gametophyte. But if you see the pteridophytes, the main plant body is sporophyte. Why they are called as sporophyte? So just to compare and understand. So there in the bryophytes we called them as a gametophyte because they initially forms gametes as a reproductive structure. Clear? But in the pteridophytes, we are calling these plants as a sporophyte because they produces spores initially needed for the process of reproduction. Understood? So initial reproductive structures formed in these group of plants is spores. So because of the formation of spores as a reproductive structure, these members are called as sporophyte. So one more reason we have, uh, the cells present in the sporophytic plant consist of two sets of chromosomes. That means 2n number of chromosomes can be seen in the members of pteridophytes, so that their main plant body is called as sporophyte. Understood? So the sporophyte in the pteridophyte can be well differentiated. That means plant is well differentiated into true root, stem and leaves. So all the parts, plant parts, what we can see in the pteridophytes, they are well differentiated and these parts are called as true roots, true stem and true leaves. Children, you just remember why we are calling these parts as a true parts, because these plant parts consist of vascular tissues. Clear? When the plant parts consist of vascular tissue, we are considering the plant part as a true part. So we have seen that bryophytes does not consist of vascular tissue. Because of this reason, we considered their body part as a leaf-like, stem-like and root-like structure. Clear? So here, because of the presence of vascular tissue, we are differentiating the plant body into true root, stem and leaves. And these organs possesses well differentiated vascular tissues. So organ in the sense root, stem and leaves. So these organs possesses well differentiated vascular tissue. So vascular tissue is present in each and every organs of the plant. So we know children's lie, right? Vascular tissues. So vascular tissues form a network. They helps in the circulation of water, mineral and food material. So there are two types of vascular tissues are present. One is xylem and another one is phloem. So xylem always helps in the circulation of water and mineral throughout the plant body, and phloem helps in the circulation of food. So these two tissues, that means xylem and phloem, together called as vascular tissue. So this vascular tissue present in each and every organ of the plant, so that we can well differentiate the plant part into true root, stem and leaves. Then the leaves in pteridophytes are small as in Selaginella or large as in ferns. So children, if we observe the different members of pteridophytes, they show different types of leaves. That means not all members are consist of same type of leaves. So some of the plants, they show small sized leaf. So if the size of the leaf is very small, such a leaves are called as microphylla. So you have to understand the meaning of microphyll here. Micro means small, phyllis means leaves. So when the leaves are small in their size, they are named as microphylls. So microphylls can be seen in one of the pteridophyte. The name of that plant is Selaginella. So the first plant picture what we have on the screen, that is actually Selaginella. So you can observe on the surface of stem we can find the small sized leaves. So that the leaf here is microphylls. And some members of the pteridophytes, they show large sized leaves. So the size of the leaf will be large. So when we have the large size leaves in the members of pteridophytes, such leaves are named as macrophylls. Macro means large, phyllis means leaves. So macrophyllis and microphyllis. Clear? You can observe both the diagram here. So the first plant is Selaginella showing microphyll, and second plant is fern showing the presence of macrophyll. So you can clearly distinguish the differences. The size of the leaf is small in the first picture, and in the second picture you can notice the size of leaf is large. So these are the two different types of leaves what we can notice in different members of pteridophytes. And the sporophytes bear sporangia suspended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. So if you see the plant, we call them as a sporophyte. So why we call them as a sporophyte? Yes. So the plant is meant for the formation of spores. Clear, right? So for the spore formation, the plant need to be consist of one of the specialized organ. Clear? So for the formation of spore, some of the leaves they are get differentiated. So those leaves are named as sporophylls. Clear? So this is the one more terminology. Sporophyll is the leaf meant for the formation of spores. Clear? So if you observe that particular sporophyle on the surface, we can notice a receptacle, that means small sac like structures. So those receptacles are considered as sporangia. So sporangia is highly protective in this thing nature. So within the sporangia we can find the presence of spores. Clear? So this is what the structure we can observe in the pteridophytes. They are very helpful in the process of reproduction. Understood, children? Yes, I'll tell you once again about this concept. So if you take the pteridophytic plant, some of the leaves are well differentiated to form spores. So those differentiated leaves are named as sporophylls. So sporophylls consist of sporangia. So sporangia is a protective receptacle. So within the sporangia, spores will be collected. So uh, because of this, the plant is named as what? Sporophytes. Clear? So this is commonly seen in all the members. But if we observe some members of the pteridophytes, we can see the proper organization of many sporophylls. So sporophyll, that means which leaves are actually differentiated to form sporangia, they are very properly, very sequentially organized in some members of pteridophytes. So the organization of sporophyll in some members form a distinct compact structure called strobili, or that is also called as cones. You can see the third diagram on the screen. So on the third diagram, you can notice this strobili that is labeled. So strobili is present at the tip of the plant. So this strobili is actually formed by the arrangement of number of sporophylls. That means many sporophylls, they are arranged in a particular sequence and form a compact structure that is called as strobili. So in this particular region, we can see the presence of sporophylls. Understood? So the best example of plant what I have displayed on the screen is Equisetum, and we also have the one more example of plant showing the formation of cone is Selaginella. Clear? So this is about the differentiation of leaf for the formation of spores. Understood? Yes. So let us understand how the spore formation takes place in the plant in the next slide. So before moving to that, have a look into some of the examples of pteridophytic plants. So one of the example is Selaginella. So we have already seen this plant in our last slide. So this is the Selaginella plant, and the one more plant is Equisetum. This is the Equisetum, and the one more is fern, and one more is Salvinia. So this is the fern and this is the Salvinia. Clear? So these are the few important examples what we can study under the pteridophytes. Yes, let us. Yes, children, we call the main plant of pteridophyte as a sporophyte because the main plant produces spores. So for the formation of spores, the receptacle will be present on the surface of leaf. So those receptacles are called as sporangia. So which leaf actually bears sporangia, that leaf is called as sporophyll. Clear? So you can clearly notice the structure of sporangia, children, on the screen. So on the down of the screen, I have displayed the diagram. There you can notice the sporangia. So these are actually receptacle meant for the formation of spores. So let us now understand what is there in the sporangia to form spores. How actually the spore formation takes place. So the formation of spores takes place by spore mother cells. Understood? So spore mother cell is diploid cell. You can notice in the schematic representation on the screen. So spore mother cell is a diploid cell because it consists of two sets of chromosomes. That means 2n number of chromosomes are present in the mother cell, so that it is called as a diploid cell. So this spore mother cell by reductional division, that means by meiosis, finally forms spores. So all the spores formed are haploid spores because they carry only half set of chromosomes from the mother cell. So you can notice that also in the diagram. Only n number of chromosome will be present in the final gametes what are formed here. So those are actually haploid spores. Understood? So the spore mother cell is there within the sporangia that undergo meiosis, that means a reductional division. So as a result of reductional division, number of spores will be produced. Those spores are haploid spores. So that if you take a sporangia and if you observe it under the microscope by dissecting, you can observe the number of spores. So many spores will be present within the sporangia. They are formed as a result of reductional division from the spore mother cells. Clear, children, now? Yes. So these spores what we have seen in the sporangia are not same in all the members of pteridophytes. So some of the pteridophytes, they are forming same kind of spores, and we have some pteridophytes, they form dissimilar type of gametes. That means spores, not gametes, spores. Understood? So based on the kind of spore formation within the pteridophytic plant, they are categorized into two groups. Understood, right? What is the first group of pteridophytic plant? That is named as homosporous plant. So this is one category in the pteridophyte. So why we call this pteridophytic plants as a homosporous plant? Because the spores produced are of similar kinds. So you take some 100 numbers of spores are present within the sporangia. All the spores are of same kind. In the appearance they are same. In their size they are same. So because of the same kind of spores what are produced within the sporangia, pteridophytic plant, that means some members of the pteridophytic plants are named as homosporous plants. Understood? So how many numbers of homosporous plants we have in the pteridophytes? So majority of the pteridophytic plants are homosporous. Understood? So there are few pteridophytic plants are there. They actually produces two kinds of spores. Understood? Two kinds of spores we can see here. So one spore is named as macrospore and another spore is named as microspore. Why they are called as macro and microspore? So macrospores are bigger in size and microspores are smaller in size. Understood? So there are two types of spores actually produces in some members of the pteridophytes. So some of the spores here called as macrospores because of their bigger size, and some of the spores are called as microspores because they are small in their size. So the plants which are produces these two types of spores, they are named as heterosporous plant. Hetero means what? Different. Clear? So different types of spores are produced in some members of pteridophytes. They are called as heterosporous plants. Clear? So the best example of heterosporous plants are Selaginella and Salvinia. So Selaginella and Salvinia, these two plants are heterosporous plant because they produces two different kinds of spores, macrospores and microspores. Understood, right? So this is a very important concept for the point of examination. So you have to remember, you have to learn what is mean by homosporous plant and what is mean by heterosporous plant. Children, it is very important as well as it is very easy to remind. Homo means what? Similar. Sporous means what? Spores. Clear? So if the plants are producing same kind of spores, they are called as homosporous plant. If the plants are producing two different kinds of spores, they are called as heterosporous plants. Clear now? Yes. What is the next step? So spores are formed. Then what is the next step of development? Why the spores are formed? So spores are actually the structures they needed for the process of reproduction. Without spore formation, there is no reproduction. Clear, right? So spores, after their maturity, they will get dispersed from the sporangia. That means they will rupture the wall of sporangia and they comes out from the parental plant. And they will get dispersed to the outer environment and they germinate and give rise to gametophytic plant. Understood? Clear? So gametophytic plant body takes place by the germination of spores. Clear, children? So first you understand the spores and spore formation here. So till now children, we have discussed only half of the life cycle of pteridophytes. This is only half story. Clear? So how the spore formation takes place, why the plant is called as a sporophytic plant, only these things we are discussed. So in our next video, we discussed how the gametophytic plant forms and how again the continuation of life cycle takes place in the pteridophytic plant. Understood? Yes. So now in this slide, you just understand why pteridophytic plant is called as sporophyte and what kind of spores they are produces and what are the examples of pteridophytic plant and what is the common name we used to call for pteridophytic plant. So what is the common name? So common name we call for pteridophytic plant is they are the first vascular plant, vascular land plant. Clear? So they are the first terrestrial vascular plants, or they are called as the first land vascular plants, because on the earth these are the first plants, higher plants raised with the vascular tissue, that means with the xylem and phloem. So that pteridophytic plants are called as first vascular plants, land plants on the earth. Understood children? Yes. Thank you.